I know I'm a little late tonight, but I did a thing and I'll share with you all in just a minute. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. 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 My sister's hanging with me tonight. Bella and Real Talk. No, Bella is hanging with me tonight. Real Talk just tagging along. Bella is the MVP. Do you hear me? It's Bella. Bella is the real MVP. Bella is the real MVP out here. Come on in the room. I see you all. How are you all doing this evening? Yep. Bella is in the building. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining me tonight for Bible study. Yep, I'm running a little late because I did a recording tonight for my class. I'm truly excited about it. My business coach, Dr. Karen, she has a conference coming up in October called Sisters Leaders Conference, which I'm honored to be a part of. And I did a recording tonight. My sis Real Talk came on, and then my cousin came on, and both of them gave me some awesome feedback. So yeah, God is doing some amazing things. And so I'm truly excited. The recording was tonight, but it is going to be live. I think she said 48 to 72 hours. So just look for it. It's going to be on Facebook. So yeah, that's coming to Facebook Live soon near you. Also, where's my banner at? There it is. Don't forget, the Be Uncompromised Women's Conference is coming October 18th. I am truly excited about it. Let me tell y'all something. You know, when you put something out there, you get a little nervous because you really want people to come and experience. And so, me and my group, we've just been planning. And so, you know, I was like, God, did I really make? And then some people go in and they go ahead and buy their tickets. I was like, "Ooh, God, thank you," because I was getting a little nervous. But I literally just put it out because I mean, October is like 3 months away, and I'm tripping already. You know what I'm saying? So God is like, "Shout it slow, calm down. You know, just bring it down a notch." So I had to bring it down a notch. But nevertheless, thank you all for those that have registered via www.justdawnlove. As you can see, I'll be looking at it virtually. Right there, it says the Be Uncompromised Women's Conference is October 18th. Registration is now, and you can register on my website, www.justdawnlove.com. Again, thank you for those that have already registered. Trust me, if you were there last year, let me tell you, it is something that you definitely do not want to miss. So I'm hoping you all will join me at my women's conference, October 18th. I'm super excited. My friends, my big sis conference is this Saturday. We're going to go in and we're going to get out. Look, she going to start it and I'm going to bring up the rear end. How about that? She going to start it this weekend and I'm going to bring up the rear end on this conference thing. Because when I tell you we have some fire going on, you best believe it. Ain't that right, Real Talk? You best believe it. So get in the room. You missed the deadline for hers, but if you have a ticket, it's gonna be fire. It's gonna be magic. God is truly going to be in the building this weekend in Decatur, Georgia, and then I'm gonna bring up the rear October 18th. Be Uncompromised Women's Conference. I'm gonna start dropping my conference speakers in the next few weeks. Let me tell you, I love when God brings a plan together. I love when God brings a plan together. You know what I'm saying? Because I asked one of my speakers and she was like, you know what? I will, She was like, you know what? I had something scheduled that week, but it canceled. So yes, I'm available. Yes. So all my conference speakers have confirmed. And like I said, I'm going to start introducing my conference speakers. When I tell you all, at first I was a little nervous, a little skeptical, but guess what? I'm good now. I'm ready. I'm ready to get this thing going. I'm ready to get rejuvenated and refreshed this coming weekend. And then after this weekend, I'm going to start, really sharing my conference. So yeah, I want to go ahead and I want to get hyped up. This is my getting hyped weekend. So I'm going to be at the Real Talk women's conference. So yeah, I'm going to get real hyped this weekend. And then it's going to be full go on ready for the Be Uncompromised Women's Conference. So yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So let me tell y'all something. I know my Bible study title tonight is a little long. And it is one of those things that I have just truly struggled with. And if I'm by myself, it's all good. But one thing I don't like people telling me what to do. I admit it. I admitted it. They say confession is good for the soul. And so tonight, my Bible study is called Why You Don't Like People Telling You What to Do, a heart check on pride, pain, and permission. A heart check. Why you don't like people telling you what to do. A heart check on pride, pain, and permission. And let me tell you, I got a real issue going on. I seriously, I got a real issue going on. And it is crazy. So like, I remember, I'm going to share with you all this moment like it was yesterday, right? So, you know how you like going about your daily business, right? And then, you're doing it a certain way, you want it prepared a certain way, and you want something done exactly how you want it to be done. And so I remember I was doing something. I was putting something together. And someone made a simple suggestion. Nothing harsh, nothing offensive. But the moment they said it, the moment they said something to me about what I was doing, it was like something just like welled up in me, and it was like a switch. Like, you know how you turn the light on, you turn it off. It was like a switch had flipped. And so it was like my shoulders had kind of tightened. My mind went on the defense. And before I even knew what I was doing, I was already picking apart how they said it, why they said it, and who they thought they were when they said it to me. And it was just a simple suggestion. And I was like, dang, Dawn, you sure are over the top about this simple suggestions. What is really going on? And the thing about it is, when they made the suggestion to me, they weren't even wrong about it. And the thing about it is, it wasn't what they said. I think it was what it touched in me, or maybe triggered in me, And so it was like that hidden place that equated with the correction with control. It was like direction with disrespect. It was like instruction with insult. And so I noticed that I'm like that. And I don't know if I'm by myself, but yeah, when they made that just simple little suggestion, it was like, I almost was like, ugh. And I really had to sit down and get real with myself, and I had to think, like, why did a suggestion feel like an attack? Why did a suggestion feel like an attack? Why did being told anything, even by someone I know who loved me, it made me feel small, overlooked, like I wasn't enough. Yeah, like did it hit a nerve or something? And so the thing about it is, I think that's when God kind of like pulled me into the truth I really wasn't ready for. And I heard God say, you don't listen to understand, you listen to defend. Girl, you don't listen to understand, you listen to defend. When I tell y'all, that hit me like a ton of bricks. You don't listen to understand, you listen to defend. And I just sat there and I just had to sit in that one for a moment because I was like, whew, woo woo. Ba 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 ba. Yeah, that right there. And so going back to what Deborah said, I think it struck a nerve. I realized like I had been filtering people's words through the lens basically maybe of unhealed wounds. That could have been it. Through childhood moments where like my voice didn't matter, or like maybe through relationships where control was disguised as care, or like maybe it could have been through jobs where obedience was demanded, not earned, And so I think through all of that, it's like you become the master at protecting yourself from manipulation. You become this master of just like really protecting yourself. But in the process, because you mask yourself from the manipulation, you also block wisdom, guidance, and growth. So instead of being open and receiving constructive criticism, I would deflect, or I would get all bent out of shape. But what I was really blocking was the wisdom that somebody was trying to give to me. I was blocking the guidance that somebody was trying to give to me. And I was definitely blocking my growth. And so that's where the word cuts. If you take it to the Bible, God led me to Proverbs 12:1. It says, to learn, you must love discipline. It is stupid to hate correction. Now, I know we're not supposed to call nobody stupid, but I don't think the person was calling you stupid, but it just said it's stupid. Like your act is stupid. To learn, you must love discipline. It is stupid to hate correction. Not unwise, not less than. The Bible calls it stupid. Why? Because correction, if we think about it, recourse or correction is a tool God uses it to shape us, to guard us, to mature us. And the thing about it is, when we hate correction, we're not being strong. We're actually just being stubborn. You're being stubborn in that moment because sometimes we don't like course correction. We don't like anybody correcting us when we've done or said something wrong. We don't like that constructive criticism. But again, like I said, we block our blessings when we try to deflect what somebody tries to tell us, or if they're trying to, give us any type of course correction, it's to shape us and to guard us, to mature us, But the thing is, sometimes we're just too stubborn to even actually receive that correction. So tonight I want to talk about this, and it's not about being shamed, because when I just kind of put that out there, how I am, it's really actually about healing, right? It's really about healing, because somewhere along the way, you started believing that receiving direction meant you were weak, you were wrong, or that you were less than. But the thing about it is, receiving direction, receiving course correction, receiving all of that is being correctable is a strength. Being correctable is a strength and it's not a flaw, right? And so before we kind of get deep in it, I just want you to kind of sit in that for a moment and maybe just ask yourself, what's really behind that feeling? You know, what if it's not about the person, like somebody else was saying, but about the place in you that still needs to be surrendered, a place in you that still needs to be dealt with, a place in you that you need to surrender. So if we take this a little deeper, my first point is the need for control is kind of often rooted in fear, not rebellion. I don't think it's not rooted in fear. It is rooted in fear, but not really rebellion. So I want to go a little deeper on this, because that instant resistance when someone tells you what to do, that reflux to shut down, to pull back, or to lash out, it's not always about pride. It's not always about being difficult. Sometimes it's just simply fear. That feeling, that fear of losing autonomy, fear of repeating cycles where your voice didn't matter, fear of just being overlooked again and again and again. And see, the dangerous thing about fear is that it doesn't always scream. Fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it disguises itself as confidence, as independence, as I got this. But really, it's control. And control is the child of fear. Control is the child of fear. And when God told me that, I was like, wow, because I am learning I really like to be in control. Why? Because fear of failure. I like to be in control, fear of failure. That's me. I sometimes have this fear of failure, fear of losing my autonomy, fear of just sometimes I'm just dealing with fear. And so if we go to the Bible, Genesis 16, we see Hagar. And Hagar is a woman who ran because she felt mistreated by Sarai. So, in the Bible that Sarai, she didn't have a baby, at the time. So she allowed Abraham to sleep with her mistress, which was Hagar. And so God had a plan for both her and Sarai, because eventually Sarai became pregnant. But even though Hagar ran and she felt mistreated, God still had a plan for her. But the moment someone tried to place her in a position she didn't choose, she bolted. Why? Because it triggered something in her. Just like somebody said earlier, it struck a nerve in her, right? So it triggered something in her, and her reaction, it wasn't rebellion. It was rooted in fear. Fear of being silenced, fear of being used, fear of having no say. But the thing about it is, what's powerful, even in her running, God found her. God found her. In Genesis 16:8, it says, and he said, Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from? Where are you going? He asked her a question, not because he didn't know the answer, but because he wanted her to confront it. You know what I'm saying? He wanted her to confront it. If we can just pause here for a moment. If you are real honest with yourself, when someone corrects you or gives unsolicited advice, what's your first inner reaction? I'm going to let the feed catch up. When someone corrects you or gives you unsolicited advice, what's your first inner reaction? Like, are you in this mood? Like, who do they think they are? Do you think they must think I'm not being enough? Or do you shut down and overthink every dang thing? Do you act cool, but you secretly replay it for hours in your head? I'm just asking somebody to share with me. You can drop it in the comments. I just want to see where everybody is tonight. When someone corrects you or gives unsolicited advice, what's your first inner reaction? Are you like, who do they think they are? They must think I'm not doing enough. You shut down or you overthink everything. You act cool, but secretly replay it for hours. Like you be like, oh, okay, thank you. But then when they walk off, you like, really? You know? Okay, I got one answer in the chat. I got defensive. Yeah, same here. Same here. Or sometimes I act cool about it, but I'll secretly replay what they said in my head for hours. you know? And I was just wondering. I mean, there's no shame here, just truth. I just want to see, how people react, because see, that reaction is telling you something. Just like Hagar, many of us are not reacting to the present voice. We're acting to a past wound, right? That teacher who embarrassed you in the front of the class, that parent, who dismissed your opinion, that relationship where suggestion was really code for domination, right? And I think we have all been there, because here's the thing: not every instruction is an assault. It's not an insult, and not every boundary is a bondage. And that's what we have to understand, that we have to change our mindset. 2 Timothy 1:7 reminds us that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. So if fear is driving your response, you'll end up dismissing the very wisdom God sends to bless you. And the thing about it is, if you're real with yourself, are you protecting yourself from people, or are you protecting yourself from the possibility of pain? And I think for me, I'm always protecting myself from the possibility of pain, because I don't like pain. I know what pain feels like. I don't wish pain on anybody, but sometimes I deflect what someone is telling me, because I try to get from the possibility of pain. Because when fear is the lens, even love feels like control. But when faith is the lens, correction can feel like care. When there is fear, there's that control. But when there is faith, that it feels like correction. And so we have to get out of the mindset that when somebody tells us something, or if somebody makes a suggestion for our growth, for our maturity, we have to be able to view it through faith lens and understand that they are correcting us in love. And so I challenge you this week: when someone gives you direction or advice that triggers you, pause before you react and ask God, is this fear or is this wisdom? And then listen, not to defend, but just to discern. And oftentimes we do that. And so the next layer I want to talk about, I feel, is going to stretch us even more, which is that pride loves to be right, but growth loves to be corrected. That pride, oh my God, that pride is something else. You got to let that sink in. Pride loves to be right, but growth loves to be corrected. Pride is loud. Pride is you opening your mouth. That's that pride. Pride goeth before the fall. So true. Pride is loud, but growth is willing to be quiet long enough to listen. It's that willingness that you have to keep your mouth shut long enough to listen. Now, if point 1 is about fear, I think point 2 is all about the mirror, because once we move past fear, we often hit the wall called pride. And I'll be honest, there was a time when I could spot someone else's attitude in a heartbeat, but couldn't see my own resistance. Like if someone gave me feedback that didn't stroke my strength, I'd write it off as hate, or I'd label them as a hater in disguise, which is crazy. And so God had to check me. It's not hate, it's actually help. You just don't like how it sounds. A lot of times, people that I say, come and work with me, or we're collaborating on something. And if they give me if they give me something, you know, I try not to write them off as like being a hater. You know, I may joke, "Oh, you such a hater" or whatnot, but it's actually God sometimes is sending someone to help you. See, in Proverbs 9, 8, and 9, Proverbs 9, 8, and 9, it says, "Do not rebuke mockers, or they will hate you. Rebuke the wise, and they will love you. Instruct the wise, and they will be wiser still." Phew. When I read that really hit home. Proverbs 9, 8 through 9. You know, because the wise people, they welcome correction. Wise people welcome correction. Why? Because they understand that you can't become your next level self with a nobody better tell me nothing mindset. And that is so true. You cannot go to your next level. You cannot elevate. You cannot move with a nobody better tell me nothing mindset. You know, there's that song, "Can't nobody tell me nothing." Yeah, some people actually have that mindset. But in order for you to grow, you can't have that type of mindset. Don't nobody better not tell me nothing. Well, how you gonna know unless somebody tells you or course corrects you and teaches you? How you gonna get to the next level? Yeah, we can read books all day long, but sometimes when somebody shares their testimony, or somebody shares their breakthrough, it helps us, and it helps us. We may not say it out loud, but your test might be somebody's your test is your testimony. And when you share your testimony with others that are around you, it just helps elevate you. It lets you know that if they made it through that, I can make it through that. So we have to get out of that nobody better tell me nothing mindset. If we go to the New Testament in Matthew 16, Jesus tells the disciples that he must suffer, die, and rise again. Peter was so full of emotion, he tries to correct Jesus himself, rebuking the very plan of God. And so Jesus responds in Matthew 16:23. He said, Get thee behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns. See, the thing about it is Peter wasn't evil. He was just being prideful. He assumed he knew better than the Savior himself. And think about it. How often do we do that? We always assume our way, our timeline, our logic is the best way. We always think like that. We think that however we move, however we are doing a way is the best way. I have a team of 8 at work. And when I tell you, my idea sometimes comes from my team members. And so sometimes me being in leadership, my idea is not always the best way. I have to hear this person. I have to hear this person. I have to hear this person. And then we can all decide what's the best route. Because sometimes in my mind, my way, my timeline is the best way. And it's not. Sometimes I have to listen to others, And my thing is, when someone often gives you that advice, like going back to early today, I've seen somebody say, I instantly get defensive. I replay the convo looking for flaws in them instead of myself. Instead of hearing them and what they shared with me to help me grow, I'm up there sizing them up and looking for the flaws in them to deflect it off of me. Sometimes we either withdraw or we even avoid the person if they, trying to course correct us. And then sometimes we even over explain ourselves to prove that we were right. And those are things that I have dealt with. And I was like, why am I like this sometimes? Because the truth is, I think it is because correction doesn't always feel good to your flesh. But the thing about it, it feeds your spirit. Correction doesn't feel good to your flesh, but it feeds your spirit. It sharpens your thinking. It humbles your heart, and it positions you for God's promotion. If we think about it and we bring it to real life, there was a time when someone I respected pulled me aside and said, "You don't delegate because you don't trust people will do it like you do it." Excuse me? You don't delegate because you don't trust people that they will do it like you do it. Now, granted, I admitted that earlier, but when somebody told me that, it was like I was 38 hot. And the thing about it is, not because it wasn't true, but because it exposed the control issue I had labeled as excellence. Man, who am I talking to tonight? You don't delegate because you don't trust people will do it like you do it. Again, 38 hot. And what they said was true, but I didn't like it because it exposed the side of me that I felt like I was just being a woman of character, a woman of excellence. But truth be told, it triggered something in me because it exposed something that I didn't want others to see. You know, and sometimes we rename dysfunction just to stay comfortable in it. We rename stuff just to to feel okay about it. Like, I'm labeled as excellence. I was just being good and kind-hearted. But what I really was is I exposed my control issue. And so I renamed it as excellence because it made me feel better. Who does that? I mean, and I think we've all been there a time or two. Hebrews 12:11 tells us that no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace. I'm just telling you all what the Bible says. You know, some of us out here with some serious control issues. We got some serious underlying issues that we haven't dealt with. And so when someone says the least little thing to us or gives us a course correction or just some wise words, we take offense to it. We get defensive. We go on the offense. We start explaining. We start acting all kinds of crazy. And then we rename it as we were just trying to be excellent, when the Bible simply tells us no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. But later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace. Let me tell you something. The person that told me I don't delegate because I don't trust anybody to do it like me, guess what? That person was so true. But guess what? It triggered something in me. But the moment I received what they were saying, once I sat down and I calmed myself and I started thinking things through, I realized this person was right. I wasn't operating out of excellence. I was operating through a control issue. But because she exposed it, it was painful. But later on, once I realized that I couldn't do it all by myself and I started delegating, number one, it took some stuff off of me. It took some stress off of me. Number two, sharing, because my friend was right there wanting to help, I let them step in. And so it calmed my nerves and it calmed my fears and it made me peaceful. No discipline is pleasant at the time. We don't like for people to expose our weaknesses. We don't like for people to expose our issues. But the thing about it, if you listen to what they say and you sit in it, it very well may resonate with you. And so maybe, just maybe, that hard conversation wasn't meant to crush you. It was meant to cultivate you, to till the soil so the seeds of purpose and maturity could actually grow. And so you have to ask yourself, in certain situations, when somebody is sharing something with you, do you want to be right or do you want to be whole? Do you always want to be right or do you want to be whole? Because healing rarely comes without humility. The Bible doesn't say if, it says when you go through trials and tribulations. when you go through something. It doesn't say if you're going to go through something. That lets me know that when the word when, that lets me know that trouble is going to come. Constructive criticism is going to come. It's going to come. And when we face those things, when those things come up, we actually face those things. And when we learn those things, it often brings on humility. Which leads me to my last and final point. I told you I wasn't going to be on here long. Submission to God often requires listening to people. Plain and simple. Submission to God often requires listening to people. Here's the part we don't like to admit out loud. We say we want to follow God, but don't want anyone telling us how to do it. We say we want to follow God, but don't want anyone telling us how to do it. We want divine direction, but we reject human people, human vessels that's walking around the earth. We want to grow, but only on our own terms. We'll take a word from God in prayer, in prophecy, or on a podcast, but let that same word come from someone too close, and suddenly we question their motives. Let's call it what it is: selective submission. We want authority without the accountability. We crave elevation, but we resent instruction. But let's look at how God actually works. If we look in 1 Samuel 3, young Samuel kept hearing a voice call him in the night. Thinking it was Eli calling him, he ran to him 3 times. Finally, Eli realized it was God speaking and told Samuel what to do. He said, pause. God spoke, but Samuel still needed guidance from a person to understand and respond properly. Did you get that? Did you get that? Young Samuel kept hearing a voice call him in the night, right? He thought it was Eli the priest. And so every time that God was calling him, Samuel, Samuel, remember in the book, he kept going, Eli, here I am. And so finally, his mentor, your teacher, your friend, your spouse, whoever it is, they realized it was God speaking and told Samuel what to do. Somebody had to help him along the way. God spoke. But see, in that moment, Samuel needed just a little guidance from a person to help him understand and so he could respond properly. Again, that goes to what I said. We want direction, but we reject it from the human. We want to grow, but we only want to do it from our own terms. We'll take the word from God in prayer, in prophecy, or a podcast, but let someone that's close to us and suddenly we question their motives. But Samuel didn't do that. He heeded what Eli had said. And the next time God spoke, guess what? God's voice, Eli's wisdom, Samuel's obedience, all 3 were necessary. Sometimes we don't know everything. So I remember my parents used to tell me to always be in a room where people are smarter than us. Be in rooms where people are smarter than you, because guess what? Once you start learning what they're saying, guess what? You've elevated a little bit more. And then guess what? God is going to put you in another room where people know a little bit more than you. And then guess what? You just elevate just a little bit more until you keep going and you keep going. You know, I love to learn. I love to listen to people, you know, because there are some people out there that's way smarter than me. Now, I know I'm smart, but there are some people that has a little bit more knowledge. And sometimes when I tap into their knowledge, I'd be so amazed. I'd be like, man, I didn't think about that. Just like Real Talk was in the little recording with me. My business coach, she was sharing some things with me after everybody had gotten off. And just by her sharing with me and pouring into me, you know what I'm saying? It's just giving me to drive to even go even further. Even my ministry mentor, Apostle Kim, sometimes when I'm at her retreats and she's stretching me and she's pouring into me and she's course correcting me, it's just like, it just makes me grow just a little bit further. Sometimes God brings people in your life just to give you some guidance and to give you some strategy. And here's the lesson. God often uses people to confirm his plan. But if we don't respect the person, we may reject the plan. God sends those people to help us. If we take it even a little deeper, if we go to 2 Kings and 5, 2 Kings chapter 5, Naaman, he was a commander in the army. He was powerful. He was well respected in the community. And the thing is, he was prideful. Let me tell y'all, Nathan had this disease. It was leprosy, right? And so he wanted to be healed from that leprosy. And so when he was told to dip him 7 times in the Jordan River to be healed of that leprosy, he almost missed his miracle because he didn't like who the message came from. He was like, dude, what you want to do is you want to go down to that Jordan River and you want to dip yourself 7 times and you gonna be healed. Do you not know, if somebody told me if I had leprosy back then, if I had to go dump myself in the river, I might have been probably kicking and screaming too, because I knew the Jordan River was nasty. But doggone it, I would have went and dipped myself in the Severn River if I knew it was going to heal me. See, the prophet didn't even greet him directly, and Naaman was offended at the method, the messenger, and the instruction. He didn't like that. He knew the Jordan River was nasty, but it wasn't until he humbled himself and obeyed that his skin was restored. What if your next breakthrough is waiting on the other side of your offense? What if your next breakthrough is waiting on the other side of your offense? And see, here's the truth. You cannot say, God, I surrender to you, but then reject everyone he sends to help shape you. You cannot say, God, I surrender to you, but then reject everyone he sends to help shape you. In Hebrews 13 and 17, it says, have confidence in your leaders and submit to their authority, because they keep watch over you as those who must give an account. See, the thing about it is, look at that verse again. Have confidence in your leaders and submit to their authority, because they keep watch over you as those who must give an account. See, we don't like words like submit, authority, because we've seen those words abused. But healthy, God-ordained leadership isn't about controlling you. It's about covering you. It's about covering you. It is about covering you. There were seasons in my own life where I was begging God for direction, but I was too stubborn to hear it from the people he placed around me. I didn't realize that sometimes the voice of wisdom won't come through thunder or burning bushes. It comes through correction from someone who loves you enough to check you. Somebody that's going to keep it real with you. Somebody that's going to keep it 100 with you. It comes through correction from someone who loves you enough to check you. Someone to tell you no sometimes. Someone to tell you that, no, you're wrong, or no, that's not right. I'm telling you. I didn't want to hear it from the people around me. So that voice of wisdom don't come from these miraculous ways. It just came from some people that love me enough to check me. So we can't let pride rob you of protection. Don't let past hurt silence your present help. Don't let it do that. Don't let your resistance to instruction keep you from cycling in the same spot and perpetuating in the same spot. Because they said, if you keep going in circle, in that same perpetual circle, you keep going through the same cycle over and over again. They call that insanity. So don't let your resistance to instruction keep you cycling into the same spot or into the same circle over and over again. God doesn't just use moments to grow you. He uses people as well. So here's the heart check. If God sent the next word you've been praying for through someone you don't really like, would you still receive it? That's a question right there. That's the heart check. If God sent the next word you've been praying for through someone you don't really like, would you still receive it? Would you still receive it? I'm going to ask that a third time because I want somebody to really catch that. If God sent the next word you've been praying for through someone you don't really like, would you still receive it? Somebody said, absolutely. And that's great, because the thing about it, Shay, is submission isn't about agreeing. It's about trusting that God knows who and how he wants to speak, and being mature enough to listen without being offended. That's simply what it is. And if we be real for a minute, this wasn't an easy word. You know, when I was sitting down writing this and reading over this, it poked at some places, you know, that I'd rather keep protected. It pulled the curtain back on parts of me that I know how to quote scripture, but still roll my eyes when somebody tries to correct me. You know, it uncovered some things for me. And so we can't push away the process, but I need you to hear this with your whole heart. You're not difficult. You're not hard to love, and you're not rebellious. You're not difficult. You're not hard to love, and you're not rebellious. But you may be carrying pain that taught you how to be unteachable. You may be carrying pain that taught you to be unteachable. You may be guarding yourself from wisdom because correction once came with control. You may be rejecting good leadership because bad leadership left you bleeding. And the thing about it is, God sees all of that, and he's not angry. He's not disappointing. He's just trying to bring you into alignment, because there's more for you on the other side of obedience. That part, Shay. Exactly. There's more for you on the other side of your obedience. I'm going to say that again. There's more for you on the other side of your obedience. God is just waiting. He's just trying to bring you into alignment. Because here's the truth. Here's the real truth. Being correctable doesn't make you weak. It actually makes you wise. Letting someone speak into your life life doesn't make you less powerful. It actually makes you positioned, and allowing yourself to receive even when it's uncomfortable opens the door for God to release what he's been waiting to give to you. So open yourself to receive, even when it's uncomfortable. Open yourself to receive. Because when we open those doors, God may release what he's been wanting to give to you. Somebody you may not like may just be giving you your next answer. You've been asking for the next level. You've been praying for clarity. You've been crying out for peace or growth or healing or even a breakthrough. But God is saying, before I elevate you, I need to empty you of what's in the way. And I can't bless what you won't let me shape. I need to empty you of what's in the way. And I can't bless what you won't allow me to shape. So here's our moment. Here's the moment of maturity. The moment of maturity. Not the cute church version, but the raw one. Where we take off the cape, where we lay down the defense mechanisms, where we uncross our arms and we open our hearts. And all we have to say, Lord, I repent for making control my comfort. You know, I've called it strength, but it was really fear. I've called it independence, but it was really pride. But today I lay down my resistance. I lay down the need to be right. I lay down my fear of being misunderstood. And I fully open myself to wise correction, God-ordained instruction, and spirit-led submission. That's all we have to do. We got to stop trying to be in control and think it's strength, because it's not. It's really fear. And we have to continue to break pride. We got to lay down our resistance for always needing to be right, to always wanting to have the last word. And we have to open ourselves up to wise course correction. We got to open ourselves up to God-ordained instruction and spirit-led submission. We have to go to God and say, shape me, correct me, stretch me, mature me. I don't want to stay the same. I don't want to repeat the cycles. I want to grow. I want to be healed. I want to be used. I want to be made whole again. And so we have to stop acting like we're too good for somebody to tell us what to do. And I know this was I don't know if it was for somebody else, but I definitely know it was for me. It was definitely for me. Because like I said, there have been times when somebody has told me to do something and I have just like, ooh, like who they think they talking to, or what? They don't even know what they talking about. They don't even know what I'm trying to do. But now I am making an intentional decision. I make a conscious effort to just hear people out. And sometimes what they say may not always pertain to me, but I can guarantee you there's something that they said, maybe just a little small something, that can help you along your way. It will. I remember my mama said, we was talking about this older preacher one day, and sometimes, you know, my mom was like, I really don't understand what that man be saying. But my mama always taught me, when you hear a sermon, and that's what kind of like Shay was talking about, you can hear the whole sermon. You can hear the whole sermon. But if you can take just that one small thing, then you got something out of it. It may not be the whole thing, but it just may be that tiny small thing that captures you to help you grow, to help elevate you to your next level. And so we got to learn to stop and just pause for a minute before we jump to conclusions. It says you must love discipline. It is stupid to hate correction. And that's in the Bible. I'm coming straight from the Bible. I know I'm giving you real life examples, but I'm also coming from the Bible that lets you know that what I'm talking about is true and real. And so, just to recap, number one, the need for control is often rooted in fear and not rebellion. My second point is I want to share is that pride loves to be right, but growth loves to be corrected. And we have to do away with that fear. Proverbs 9:8-9 says, "Do not rebuke mockers, or they will help you. Rebuke the wise, and they will love you. Instruct the wise, and they will be wiser still." And so the wise welcomes correction. The wise welcomes correction. And so we have to stop becoming so prideful. We have to stop getting so defensive. We got to stop replaying the conversation in our head and thinking about the other person, the flaws in them, instead of, things being focused on us. We have to stop withdrawing and avoiding a person, and we also definitely have to stop always wanting to be right. But I love Hebrews 12:11. It says, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. But later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace." And so those hard conversations, they're not meant to crush you. They're just there to cultivate you. And lastly, submission to God often requires listening to people. Exactly. We take the meat and throw away the bones. That's a saying. You take the meat and you throw away the bones. We say we want to follow God, but we don't want anyone else telling us how to do it. And so we have that selective submission. And if you go back again and read Hebrews 12:11, Hebrews 12:11, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. But later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace." So we got to learn to listen to others. We want the elevation, but we don't want the instruction. We want the authority, but we don't want the accountability. And so we have to learn to listen to people, just like someone dropped in the comments, eat the meat and throw the bones away. And so that is my Bible study for tonight. Like I said, I know I came on a little late, but I'm glad I did. But yeah, we don't like people telling us what to do. And like I said, if that wasn't for anybody, I know it was for me. Because I have to do a heart check on pride, pain, and permission. And I really had to sit in it when somebody just made a simple suggestion. Why did I allow that to throw me over the top? Why did I allow that to really just throw me off my path when all they were doing was making a simple suggestion? What's up, Shantae? I'm telling y'all, we just got to learn to listen. Again, eat the meat, throw away the bones. And so, again, that's my Bible study for this evening. I thank you all for coming on late with me and just hearing from what thus says the Lord. And, sometimes we just got to really be real with ourselves and honest with ourselves, because that's the only way we're going to be able to correct ourselves. None of us are perfect. We always have flaws. But the only thing is, we don't like people to expose our flaws. We don't like people to expose our flaws. But sometimes we need those flaws exposed so that we can deal with it and so that we can grow from it. So, again, thank you all for watching tonight. I will see you all next Tuesday, God willing. And so I challenge you this week. When somebody gives you that unsolicited advice, just listen to it. Just listen to it. Come on. I'm telling you, Shantae, it's real. Yeah, the Lord will convict you. And you are, and some, yeah, we operated in that spirit of pride. And it's hard. It's hard to do that. I'm trying to tell you. I know, oh, like I said, I was sharing at the beginning, man. I like to be in control, and that is something I am really working on. Oh. Now, y'all, that's funny, Shantae. She told me she watched that movie Unfailing Love about the book of Hebrews and the prostitute. Wasn't it a good movie? Be honest, Shantae, wasn't it a good movie? Who else has watched Unfailing Love since I talked about it? Thank you for sharing that. I was wondering, did anybody go back and watch Unfailing Love? It was such a good movie. I know I gave the end in my Bible study, but my bad. It was still a good movie. But yeah, going back to what I said, we got to stop operating in pride, especially if we want to grow. And so we just got to learn to listen to people. Exactly. I told y'all it was a really good movie. Like I said, it's one of those Tubi movies. You'd be like, Lord, come on now. It's all right. But it was a good movie. Thank you for sharing, Shantae. But you all, that's my Bible study. Shay, go watch Unfailing Love. Go watch it. Did you like it? Let me know, real talk, if you okay, you said you saw it too. Yeah. Go and watch. I love them Tubi movies. Some of them be good. And there's one in there about the book of Job too. There's one in there about the book of Job. I forgot the name of that one, but that one was good too. That one stars Vanessa Bell Calloway. So yeah, it's about the life of Job. But yeah, some of those Tubi movies be good. Some of the acting be, you know, a little shaky, but sometimes the storylines be excellent. But yeah, again, that's my Bible study. If you didn't catch all of it, go watch the replay. I pray you be well, you be blessed. I thank you all for rocking with me. Again, look in the chat. I mean, in my little feed right here. Go register for the conference tickets. Be Uncompromised, coming to you October 18th, this weekend. I know, Shay, I'm trying to tell you, Tubi, yes, Tubi, Unfailing Love, go watch it. But yeah, don't forget to register for my conference coming up October 18th. Next week, I'll be releasing the speakers. I'm super excited about my October 18th conference. Thank you to those that have already purchased your tickets. I will see you all next week. Be well, be blessed, and go watch Unfailing Love on Tubi. Bye, y'all.